Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner, and welcome back to Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. In today's webisode, we're going to take a look at a number line, or on the line, and focus on percents and fractions between 0 and 1, because we all know that a fraction is a part of a whole. Let's take a look at one of our example problems. It says, place each item on the number line. I have 1/2, a 3/4, 25%, and 80%. So I have to place each one of these on my number line from 0 to 1. Well, how do I figure out where I need to put each one of these on this line? Let's take a look at a couple strategies. So I'm going to bring my sticky notes here. Here's my 1/2, my 3/4, my 80%, and my 25%. I have to think of a plan of action of where I'm going to place these between 0 to 1. Well, I know between 0 and 1, 1/2 is halfway between. So I'm going to look at my line here and I'm going to kind of guesstimate, kind of like a guess and an estimation. I'm going to guesstimate where half of this line would be. So from here to here, I would say half would be about right here. So I could take my sticky note. I'm going to put half right there. That's halfway between the line. I just found half of 1. Half of 1 is half. Now I'm looking. I got 80%, 25%, and 3/4. Well, I know if I get fourths, right now I have halves. If I do a half of a half, I can get fourths. So half of a half here would be about there, and half of a half here would go about here. Now I have 4 equal parts. So this is 1/4, this is 2/4, or the same thing as 1/2. There's 3/4, there's 4/4. We all know that the numerator and denominator, when they're the same, it means a whole. So 4/4 is the same thing as 1 whole. Ooh, you're right, I'm glad you guys caught that. I already named 3/4. 3/4 can go right there on my number line. So I just found both fractions right now. I started with a half, I did a half of a half to get fourths. Now let's take a look at our last two here. I have 25% and 80%. Well, I already know that this is 1/4, and I know that 1/4 as a percent is the same thing as 25%. So I can label that 25%. Now that leaves me with 80%. How could I possibly find 80% on this number line? Well, if I know that 1/4 is 25%, a half or 2/4 would be 50%. 3/4 would be, 75%. And 4/4 would be 100%. Well, 80% is pretty close to 75%, right? So I might say that 80%'s, sliding on me a little bit there. I'd say 80% might be right about here on this number line. I'm going to use a guesstimation based off of my knowledge of my fourths and my halves here to place 80% there on the number line. So there's a lot of math going on there, and you kind of heard me explain working with halves, working with fourths, looking at the percents with the fractions. That's all part of that math talk and that math knowledge to help me solve between 0 and 1. And again, looking at percents and these fractions, it's all between 0 and 1. These all became 0 and 1 with my fractions. This next part is going to be a little bit different for you guys. At home, what I want you to do is on a separate sheet of paper, I'd like you to draw out a number line similar to the one that we have up here on the board and label it 0 to 1. You are then going to find where 1/3, 4/5, 20%, and 75% would go on that number line. Go ahead and pause this video, and then we'll be right back. Okay, when looking at our number line, first thing you might say to yourself when looking at this is, I have 1/3. Well, I know I can break up this whole into thirds to find where 1/3 would be. Okay, I might say that here is 1/3, here is 2/3, and that would be 3/3. So again, using your best judgment, this is 1/3, that's 1/3, there's 2/3, there's 3/3. So I just took my whole, I'm going to label it 1/3 here. I just looked at 1/3. And I put it right on my line because I broke my line into 3 equal parts. Well, then I might say, I got 75%, 20%, and 4/5. Well, I broke it up into 3 equal parts to get my third. Maybe I can break this up into 5 equal parts to get my 4/5. Let's try that strategy. And again, using your best drawings here. This may be, let's see, about 1/5. That could be about 2/5. That could be about 3/5. That would be about 4/5. And that would be about 5/5. So again, I've broken mine up into 5 equal parts. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. So I just labeled this one 4/5. Oh, you notice something from my number line? You're right. 4/5 is the same as saying 80%. And they're both at the equal part on this number line. So they should be right next to one another or close to it. I then have 75%. Well, if I know that 4/5 is 80%, 75% would have to be a little bit to the left because it's going to be less than 80%. And you notice this one? You guys are really good. You guys notice this one too? You're right. 3/4 is the same thing as 75%. So 75% would go right about there on this number line. And then we're left with 20%. I mean, you guys are doing excellent today. Yeah, 4/5 is 80%. So each fifth is 20%. And you're telling me that this is 1/5? You're right. 1/5 is then 20%. So if I were to look at all these on a number line from 0 to 1 with 20%, 25%, 1/3, 1/2, 75%, 3/4, 4/5, and 80%, I just labeled them all on a number line. The next step you could do is then compare. Well, what's greater? What's bigger? 1/3 or 1/2? Well, you'd see that 1/2 is bigger. It's farther on my number line. What's worth more, 75% or 3/4? They name the same number. What's bigger, 1/2 or 4/5? 4/5 would be bigger. So I started with a very basic number line from 0 to 1. I put some percents and some fractions in there. I could have also added some decimals if I wanted to. And then you can compare your numbers. Again, looking at our number line. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Langer's Math Extravaganza. As always, we'll see you next time.